You're watching Inside Durango News, your source for information about what's going on in Southwest Colorado. Sponsored by Fast Signs of Durango. More than fast, more than signs. Fast Signs.
Welcome to this week's edition of Inside Durango News. I'm Ashley Dixon. Town officials never guaranteed the project will be quick, but some Durango residents are wondering if the downtown sidewalk improvement project has any clear completion date. Crews with FCI constructors began the project in March and suspended work from June through Labor Day to ease the potential for traffic congestion with the summer tourist crowd. The Business Improvement District admits that the project does come with unexpected surprises, which in turn slow down the work, but so far the plan has been systematic in its closures and detours, now focusing on the side streets off Main Avenue. According to the schedule posted at the city's website at durangogov.org, crews are now focusing on 7th Street on both the east and west sides and will be moving towards West 10th Street in the following weeks. Each street from Main Ave to the alley is slated to take 2 weeks to complete. If the project is able to stay on track without any noticeable surprises, construction is slated to be done prior to the Thanksgiving holiday. For those interested in learning more about the project, you can view everything from construction blueprints to the tentative schedule on the Business Improvement District's website at downtowndurango.org. Marijuana finds its way onto the ballot this November in Durango with Proposition AA, which would impose a 15% excise tax on recreational marijuana sold to retailers and an additional 10% sales on retail sales. Proposition AA comes on the heels of last year's Amendment 64, which passed with 55% of the vote in Colorado, thus allowing adults ages 21 and older to possess up to an ounce of marijuana and allow for the establishment of a recreational retail marijuana industry. Under Amendment 64, the first $40 million in revenue raised by the excise tax on marijuana will go directly to the Building Excellent Schools Today program, which would allow schools to renew or replace deteriorating infrastructure. But there is still limited research that suggests that that tax will raise that much money. In addition to raising money for schools and education, proponents say the taxing recreational marijuana will only help to regulate the industry, with a portion of the sales tax revenue going towards the Marijuana Enforcement District and the Department of Revenue, which will in turn regulate the cultivation and sales of marijuana, thus making it a more legitimate industry. Those against the proposition argue that the tax would be too high when comparing it to the tax on alcohol, and that this increase in price would force consumers into the existing underground market. Voters are encouraged to keep in mind that this tax does not apply to medical marijuana, and there's still a lot of back and forth as to whether pot shops will be allowed to open when Amendment 64 goes into effect in 2014. There are currently 6 medical marijuana dispensaries listed for Plata County, but the number is hard to pin down due to the ever-changing nature of the industry. A proposed 10-cent fee for using paper or plastic grocery bags could potentially reduce the number of bags that make their way to the Durango landfill by more than 7.2 million a year, claim proponents of a proposed bag ban ordinance that appears on the November 5th ballot. But those who oppose the fee say it isn't going to reduce landfill waste by only a mere 1% a year, and that small impact isn't worth the cost of administering the fee. City Councilor Christina Rinderle and Keith Brandt provided the pros and cons of the proposed bag ban ordinance at a recent Chamber of Commerce Eggs and Issues breakfast. Durango residents will decide whether the city should impose a 10-cent fee for every paper or plastic checkout bag provided by a grocer. The fee would be limited to a total of $1 per trip. Half of the revenue would be returned to the grocers who imposed the fee, and half would be used by the city to offset the cost of administering the program. Rinderle argued that the fee would reduce the number of paper and plastic bags in the city's landfill by more than 90%. Brandt said that the bag ban would barely make a dent in the amount of trash that residents generate, and it doesn't make sense to charge a fee that will have so little impact on the city's big trash problem. The city instead should concentrate on more efficient ways to reduce trash, he said. Rinderle admits that the bag ban effect would reduce trash, but small changes start with small steps.
It's been argued this is less than 1% of the waste stream here. And to me, that is like, wow. Yes, I would like to point out that Durango has a trash problem. And this is just a step to raise a community awareness that trash comes at a cost.
Ballot issues 2A and 4B asked Durango residents to decide on a Durango Fire and Rescue consolidation that would turn 5 separate boards of directors into one governing body for emergency services. If voters approve both measures, the Durango Fire Protection District Board of Directors would oversee all services, thus eliminating the boards for Animas Fire, Hermosa Fire, and the Durango Fire and Rescue Authority. Proponents say that the move to consolidate would reduce operating and administrative costs for the district while ensuring the same level of service is continued. If voters approve the ballot issue, the City of Durango will enter a 15-year agreement with the new overarching governing body, the Durango Fire Protection District. Voters will be pleased to know that this move does not come with a cost to them, as there is no tax increase proposed as part of these ballot questions. While most in-town residents won't be affected by the proposed consolidation, residents in the Animas and Hermosa Cliffs district will be asked to vote on a new replacement mill levy of 5.7 mills, which has been the historical average over the last 10 years. The Durango School District 9R Board of Directors wants to reduce the number of board members from 7 to 5 to create a more efficient, streamlined governing system. School district voters will be asked to approve the change under question 3A on the November 5th ballot. Board President Jeff Schell offered these arguments for the change.
There are really two main reasons why we would like to reduce the size. Over the last decade, it's been quite a challenge to keep a stable board. There's been a lot of turnover, and it is our hope that if we reduce from 7 to 5 members that there'll be less turnover. And then we're also hopeful that it will lead to more competitive elections. This year's a bit of an anomaly in that we have 4 contested seats. In the past, it's generally been uncontested elections, and so the voters have not had a choice.
Schell said all current board members and those elected in November will serve their full terms. Board districts are going to be realigned to balance the rural character of the area. 6 board seats are up for election this year. A list of candidates and their positions may be found on the district website at durangoschools.org. Another issue on the ballot could potentially raise $4 million for Durango District 9R. Voters will consider an amendment to the state's constitution to raise individual income taxes to generate additional revenues and change the funding formula for K-12 public education statewide. Durango School District 9R Superintendent Dan Snowberger said that the tax increase will be used locally to improve student achievement by restoring budget cuts from the past 5 years.
Over the last 5 years, we've lost $4.5 million in Durango School District. We went from a per pupil funding of $7,100 down to a low of $6,400. This year we're about $6,500 per student funded. Our neighboring districts like Ignacio are at $7,300, Bayfield's at $7,200. And so again, there's huge disparity in the value of a student in a K-12 education system under this current formula.
Snowberry said the money will be used to upgrade classroom technology and to keep class sizes low. Without the increase, the district faces significant budget cuts, he said. The tax increase will raise the average taxpayer income tax by about $133 a year or $11 a month. We'll be back with a report about the opening of Wolf Creek after this message.
Whether you make your plans over a barbed wire fence or over wireless internet, if you're coming from the stockyard or the stock exchange, Durango is right at home at the Diamond Bell, timeless and timely.
For natural and organic vitamins and supplements and health and beauty products, there's no better place than Nature's Oasis. We offer an experienced staff, nutrition and supplement education, and exclusive products. Nature's Oasis, home to the largest selections of vitamins and supplements in the Four Corners region.
It's full steam ahead at the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad. Enjoy a historic trip through southwest Colorado's rich scenery with daily train excursions through the spectacular San Juan Mountains. See the world-famous 400-foot drop at the High Line. Relax as you chug along the Upper Animas River and spend an afternoon in the historic mining town of Silverton. Stop by the depot or call 247-2733. Get more information on our website at durangotrain.com.
Come check out what's new at the Ute Mountain Casino Hotel and Resort. We now have single and double deck blackjack games. Enjoy our King of the Cage boxing events year-round at our events center. If you're on the go, take a break at the new Ute Mountain Travel Center. With our valet service, you can arrive in style and get right into the action. Visit us for our Saturday prime rib buffet and our seafood buffet on Fridays. With the largest gaming floor in the area, Ute Mountain Casino Hotel and Resort has all the great games you love to play.
Welcome back to Inside Durango News. I'm Ashley Dixon. Ski season has arrived in southwest Colorado with the opening of Wolf Creek ski area last weekend. Let's find out what the conditions were like.
As we headed up U.S. Highway 160 to Wolf Creek Pass, the east side of the Continental Divide was ablaze with orange and yellow aspen. The temperature, a balmy 52 degrees. Hardly ski season conditions, but climb up to 10,000 feet elevation and you'll find snow, enough to allow Wolf Creek ski area to be the first in southwest Colorado to open for the 2013-14 ski season. Wolf Creek fired up the lifts for the first time this season on Saturday, October 19th. More than 500 skiers and boarders took advantage of the first day, with 400 more slapping on the boards on Sunday. Wolf Creek reports a base of 28 inches with about 20% of the mountain open, although owner Davey Pitcher says the brave can ski anywhere they'd like.
You know, our philosophy is to basically let people ski where they want. So everything's open, but some of it's pretty mangy, and then some of it's better. So I think for the official report, it's like 20% open.
Wolf Creek will be closed during the week and open weekends. You can check the area's status at wolfcreekski.com. Elsewhere in southwest Colorado, Durango Mountain Resort is slated to open on November 29th, the day after Thanksgiving, and Telluride Ski Area will open on Thanksgiving Day.
Ski and snowboard season will be here before you know it. Next, a look back at Fort Lewis College's 2013 homecoming celebration.
Homecoming at Fort Lewis College is an event for students by students, and this year's celebration has been dubbed an unqualified success. On Friday, October 18th, spectators lined Main Avenue to watch the homecoming parade entries depict the theme Lost in Skylantis. Friday night's fun continued with the traditional bonfire on Rim Drive, followed by the first ever homecoming fireworks show. Saturday's events started off with the annual Mud Football Tournament. Although the temperatures hovered in the mid-40s, it didn't stop teams from getting nice and grimy. And what's football without a tailgating party? Radio Durango spiced up the event with live broadcasts throughout the morning. Saturday's football game against Colorado Mesa University was more exciting than the score might indicate. Although Mesa won 42-0, the Skyhawks did carry the ball to goal 4 times, bringing the crowd to its feet. And the good news? The stadium was packed with fans and visiting alumni, and the weather was stellar. The weekend ended with the Skyhawks men's and women's soccer teams both bringing home 1-0 victories over their opponents. The women defeated Colorado State University at Colorado Springs, and the men defeated Regis University. For more on homecoming, see a Fort Lewis College students report at fortlewis.edu.
Mud football sure looked like a lot of fun. Cold, but fun. Coming up next after the break, our interview with Jay Elliott.
Meet Dan. He owned a dog biscuit company, but Dan wanted more, so Fast Signs created a plan to raise Dan's business visibility. Now Dan has more sales, more stores, more of the good life, and more is what Fast Signs delivers. More than fast, more than signs.
Visit the scenic James Ranch in the Animas River Valley and enjoy lunch or dinner at the Harvest Grill and Greens. The menu is based on a seasonal supply of organically grown James Ranch products. The Harvest Grill and Greens at James Ranch, 10 miles north of Durango.
The local pub is a tradition dear to the heart of any town. Durango's local pub is the Irish Embassy, a favorite with locals for breakfast, dinner, or just a pint with friends. With a traditional Irish menu and all your favorite brews on tap. The Irish Embassy, Durango.
Go underground with the Old 100 Gold Mine Tour, a fun and exciting look at gold mining in Silverton. This is an authentic gold mine, and the tour includes a train ride and mining demonstrations. The Old 100 Mine Tour runs 7 days a week with hourly tours, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Pan for gold and silver as long as you like, and keep what you find. Take a scenic drive north to historic Silverton and the Old 100 Gold Mine Tour.
You're watching Inside Durango TV, and with me today in the studio is Jay Elliott, former Senior Vice President of Apple, an international speaker and author of Leading Apple with Steve Jobs, Managing Lessons from a Controversial Genius. First off, I want to say thank you for coming and welcome to Durango.
Oh, thank you very much. It's nice to be here.
I know that this is your first time in Durango, but I think with the fall weather, you picked a pretty good time to come into town.
Yeah, it's warmer here than San Francisco, so it's nice weather.
Nice. Well, we enjoy it. So I want to talk a little bit about your book. In your book, you talk about meeting Steve Jobs at a restaurant, of all places. Is it safe to say that's probably one of the most deciding chance encounters of your life?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm sitting in a restaurant waiting for my wife for dinner. I was not happy with where I was working. I was looking for something different to do, and I sit down at a bench reading a newspaper, and this guy sits next to me. He's 25 years old. I'm 30, in my late 30s, and we started talking about computers, and all of a sudden, he was engaging, and then eventually he says, "You should come work for me." And I said, "I don't even know who you are." I mean, he said, "I'm Steve Jobs from Apple Computer." I hadn't heard of either one of them, and I said, "I don't know you." And he said, "Well, what could I do to get your attention?" And I said, "I love Porsches. Give me a new Porsche and you'll get my attention."
Oh.
Right, so about 2 weeks later, I get a call from a headhunter and saying, "What color do you want?" I said, "Yeah, right." Right. So sure enough, about a week later, a Porsche arrives in my driveway. My wife calls me and said, "What the hell are you doing buying a new Porsche?" And I said, "I didn't buy a new Porsche." She said, "Well, there's one here and it's red." So that's how I called up Steve and said, "Okay, I accept. Whatever the offer is, I accept."
Yeah, that's one way to get someone's attention
Slightly,
for sure.
right, exactly.
Now, in the title of your book, you call Steve Jobs a controversial genius. What do you mean by that?
Well, basically, Steve he had a lot of abilities to do things that people didn't understand. And he did things people misunderstood. He did things that people got upset people. So he was always ahead of the game. And Steve was a master of what I call disruptive innovation. He was creating products that changed the whole market. It wasn't just about building a product for a marketplace. It was about he was disrupting the market. And people didn't quite get that. This is way back in the 80s when he came out with the mouse and the Mac. But after that, it was clear that he was into this. And that's what he should be remembered for, not for how he treated people or what he did at a restaurant with all that other stuff. He was a genius about business, and that term, people don't really understand that.
Yeah, I know you refer to him as product-centric and being all about the product. And just talking about Apple in general, I mean, we see Apple products everywhere we turn. Is it interesting for you to have been on the ground floor, to be using an iPhone, to see your kids using an iPad and stuff like that?
Well, absolutely. In fact, I've been using Apple since 1981, and I've been part of it. And it's always been, you have to be part of the product. Interesting story, when the heads of the automotive industry arrived in Washington to beg for money for their companies, they got picked up by Mercedes at the airport. Do you think Steve Jobs would have used some other computer? No. I mean, you had to be, the guy from General Motors should have been picked up by Chevy, not by Mercedes. So it's really, you got to be focused on the product, and that's what you do. And that's what Steve was all about.
So I know you probably learned so many lessons from Steve Jobs. Are there any that really stick out to you, and I'm sure ones that you talk about when you travel as a speaker?
Absolutely. A passion for what you do is what's the most important part of it. And that's what I use that in my own life. I do it. I've just created a new company 4 months ago, and it's about the passion I have for the products I'm going to build. And that's really the lesson I learned. Steve was the greatest consumer in the world. He loved products, and he was going to make the best product, but he loved products himself. It was all about, when he built a product, it was for himself. If you liked it, great. If you didn't, don't buy it. But he was about the passion for the product, and that's what I learned big time.
Nice. So you said you just recently formed a new company. How would you suggest, you build an innovative team with individuals who are both out-of-the-box thinkers, but still, committed to the company's vision? Is that kind of a double-edged sword sometimes?
It is hard to do, but you have to create small teams, and you create people that are focused on some element of your innovation. You have to be the lead innovators, basically. You have to be the leader. You can't be just an administrator, and that's what happens with most corporate America today. They bring in administrators, not people who are leading the products or leading innovation. And then you got to challenge people, and you got to be direct about it. Can't pull punches, and you also have to be hard. I mean, if it's not coming out right, you got to say that's not right. One of the only arguments I ever lost with Steve Jobs was when the first Mac came out, it had a fan in it, and Steve heard it and said, "Get rid of the fan." How can we do that? It'll overheat. So, well, figure a way to do that. So we had to figure a way. It cost us 6 months in development. But that became a benchmark for all Apple products, no fan. And
Oh.
so that was in his mind. This is 1983. He was already thinking in the future. And by the way, when the first Mac introduced itself, it did on stage. It had speakers in it. That was the first time a computer actually had its own speakers. So I mean, these are all the things that Steve just was easy for him. But it's about this innovation, which is really critical.
Yeah, and it's funny talking about those things. And as a consumer, you don't even think about that now, that those were the little parts of the process that led to a product that is now absolutely everywhere we turn.
Right.
So talking about the success of a huge company like Apple, how do you kind of translate that into smaller goals? You know, we've got a lot of small business owners, a lot of people that are just starting up. Is there a way that you can kind of translate that big company mentality into small goals for business owners like here in Durango?
Yeah, you have to be focused on what you're going to do, focused on the product, focused on your part of the business. And I think that's important, that sometimes businesses have to change, and so you have to create businesses within businesses to make that change. But they have to focus on what they do. Do not get caught up in politics. Don't get caught up in bureaucracy. You have to focus on what you're going to make happen, and you got to be just absolutely committed to it. I mean, that's the part I find. If you're running a gas station or you're running a coffee shop, you got to be committed to the quality of what you do. It really irks me when I go into places and, go into a coffee shop and take some fun. Everybody behind the counter has their back to me. They're doing other things that they think is important. The most important thing is me getting my cup of coffee, and that's what it's all about.
Nice. So I'm sure you've just had so many quotes from Steve that you take with you today. Are there any that you use, on the daily basis when maybe something isn't going right? I'm sure when you were developing Apple, there were all sorts of up and downs. Are there pearls of wisdom that you still take from Steve today?
Actually, one of the favorite quotes was, "The journey is the reward," and that's actually a Buddhist quote, but that's what it's all about. If you're not on a great journey and you're not having a good time or fun, then you're in the wrong place.
I think that relates to business and a lot more.
It does. Right.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. After the break, we've got upcoming events.
Was that bad?
I know, I was silent too. I was like, no.
Meet Dan. He owned a dog biscuit company, but Dan wanted more, so Fast Signs created a plan to raise Dan's business visibility. Now Dan has more sales, more stores, more of the good life. And more is what Fast Signs delivers. More than fast, more than signs.
Visit the scenic James Ranch in the Animas River Valley and enjoy lunch or dinner at the Harvest Grill and Greens. The menu is based on a seasonal supply of organically grown James Ranch products. The Harvest Grill and Greens at James Ranch, 10 miles north of Durango.
The local pub is a tradition dear to the heart of any town. Durango's local pub is the Irish Embassy, a favorite with locals for breakfast, dinner, or just a pint with friends. With a traditional Irish menu and all your favorite brews on tap. The Irish Embassy, Durango.
Go underground with the Old 100 Gold Mine Tour, a fun and exciting look at gold mining in Silverton. This is an authentic gold mine, and the tour includes a train ride and mining demonstrations. The Old 100 Mine Tour runs 7 days a week with hourly tours, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Pan for gold and silver as long as you like, and keep what you find. Take a scenic drive north to historic Silverton and the Old 100 Gold Mine Tour.
Welcome back to Inside Durango TV. Coming up in the week ahead, the San Juan Basin Health Department is now offering flu shots during its Walk-In Wednesdays clinic from 8:30 to 6 p.m. now through November 20th. Individuals can stop by San Juan Basin Health Department at their office at 281 Sawyer Drive in Bodo Park. Cost of the flu shot is $25, or you can opt for the less painful flu mist nasal spray for $55. More information can be found on sjbh.com. Back for the 6th year, the Rocky Horror Picture Show will take to the stage of the Henry Strader Theater October 24th through the 26th. Thursday night's performance will be an all-ages show, but keep in mind, other showings will be for viewers 21+. For more information, visit henrystradertheater.com. Looking for adventure? Join the Durango Chamber of Commerce at Business After Hours from 5 to 7 p.m. on Friday, October 25th at the Doubletree Hotel. The evening will feature the annual Tabletop Expo with 40 exhibitors who will offer up show and tell presentations about their products and services. This year's theme is Expedition. Food, drinks, giveaways, prizes, networking, and catching up with old friends will be part of the fun. Cost is $7 per person at the door. The 9th Annual Lions Club Chili Cook-Off and Craft Fair will kick off from 10 a.m. on Saturday, the 25th at the La Plata County Fairgrounds. Chili will be served from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Tickets for the chili supper are just $6. Contact Susie Amon at 375-7926 for more information. Test your survival skills with the 2013 Zombie Challenge Run for Kids' Sake to benefit Big Brothers Big Sisters of La Plata County. The run begins at 2:30 p.m. on Saturday, October 26th. Registration is $30, and you can contact Big Brothers Big Sisters for more information. The FLC Skyhawks women's volleyball team plays the University of Colorado, Colorado Springs on Thursday, October 24th, and Metro State on Friday, October 25th. Both games start at 7 p.m. in the Wayland Gymnasium. Women's volleyball wraps up the weekend with a game against Regis University on Saturday at 5 p.m. The Skyhawk women's soccer team plays Metro State at 1 p.m. on Friday, October 25th at Dirks Field. The men's team follows against Colorado Mesa University at 3:30 p.m. For more information about Skyhawk sports, log on to the Fort Lewis College website at fortlewis.edu. That wraps up this edition of Inside Durango News. Join us next week on Thursday, October 31st for our next news edition. I'm Ashley Dixon. Remember, just watch us. You'll like what you see.
Tune in weekly to watch a new edition of Inside Durango News, your source for information about what's going on in Southwest Colorado. Inside Durango News has been brought to you by Fast Signs of Durango. More than fast, more than signs. Fast Signs.
Meet Dan and his dog Bongo. They started their own dog biscuit company, but Dan wanted more, so Dan worked with Fast Signs. They created a plan to attract more customers, get more business, wag more tails. Still, Dan wanted more, and Fast Signs provided more. Fast Signs help with digital displays, mobile marketing, merchandising, fleet graphics, and more. Now Dan has more sales, more locations, more of the good life. And more is exactly what Fast Signs delivers. More than fast, more than signs, more than 530 locations worldwide.
Visit the scenic town of Silverton and take a Jeep tour through the heart of the majestic San Juan Mountains with San Juan Backcountry Tours. Visitors can get behind the wheel and explore the mountain roads on their own, or sit back on guided tours that take you through the rich history of the area, including the ghost town Animas Forks. You can rent a Jeep, ATV, dirt bike, or we can take you on a guided tour in one of our open-top Suburbans. Enjoy the spectacular scenery from 9,000 feet all the way to 13,000 feet in elevation. The San Juans have many scenic routes and four-wheel drive passes to explore, and our experienced staff can provide maps and suggest the best routes to get you where you want to go. We guarantee you a fun and memorable experience. Come explore the historic sights and beautiful scenery of the San Juan Mountains at San Juan Backcountry Tours. The Sporting News Grill at the new Holiday Inn and Suites of Durango is now open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Featuring a full-service restaurant and bar with 11 HD TVs, it's a great venue for family and sports fanatics alike. The Sporting News Grill. Stop in and let us show you our game face.
It's time for rejuvenation with luxurious healing waters, breathtaking views, and lavish spa treatments at the Springs Resort and Spa in Pagosa Springs. Stay at the new EcoLux Hotel and enjoy 24-hour access to our 23 unique pools by the river. Indoors, relax in the hotel and enjoy therapeutic services at the spa. It's time for rejuvenation at the Springs Resort and Spa in Pagosa Springs.